Read the following passage and answer the questions that follow. Don't forget to go back to the passage whenever necessary to find or confirm your answers. The structure and function of cells. Living things eat, grow, get rid of waste products, and reproduce. All living things are made of cells. In even the tiniest unit of any living thing, there is a cell. Cells have special structures called organelles. The organelles help cells do the work of moving materials around, dividing to make more cells, and making protein for the body's needs. Cells get energy through a process called cellular respiration. During this process, cells convert sugar, called glucose, and oxygen into water and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the gas we breathe out. This whole process releases energy for the cells to use. The energy is stored as ATP. The cell keeps ATP in storage like backup power. It can be taken out to be used as needed. By storing ATP, the cell always has the energy it needs. Plant and animal cells both have organelles. Some types of organelles are the same in both plant and animal cells. Other types of organelles, however, are only found in plant cells or animal cells. All cells have a control center called a nucleus. The nucleus stores a special molecule called DNA. The organism's traits are controlled by the coding found in its DNA. All cells have a cell membrane that surrounds the cell to protect it and control what goes in or out. Materials can move through the membrane by diffusion or osmosis. Diffusion is when materials move in or out of a cell from a place of high concentration to one of low concentration. Osmosis is a special kind of diffusion that allows water to pass through the membrane. However, in osmosis, many other materials are not allowed to pass through. Plant cells have an extra layer called a cell wall that surrounds each cell's membrane. The cell wall is much stiffer to help the plant's stems stand up and support leaves and flowers. Cytoplasm is a thick, gelatin-like fluid that fills the space between a cell's nucleus and its cell's membrane. Organelles float in and are supported by the cytoplasm. Ribosomes are organelles that make proteins. Lysomes, which are found mostly in animal cells, break apart nutrients. The Golgi apparatus prepares proteins to be sent to various parts of the body. Vacuoles are like bags of fluid that cells use to store things until they are needed or until they can be disposed of. Mitochondria generate energy for the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, is a system of tubes and passages for transporting materials. Chloroplasts, which are found only in plants, allow food to be made using sunlight and carbon dioxide. All the organelles work together to make sure that the cells and ultimately the living organism can do all the things that are necessary for survival. Question 1A. What is the process in which materials move through a cell membrane? A. Cellular respiration. B. ATP. C. Diffusion and osmosis. D. Endoplasmic reticulum. Question 1B. What is the control center of a cell called? A. The nucleus. B. Organelle. C. Cellular membrane. D. Golgi. Question 1C. What is stored in the nucleus of a cell? A. Organelles. B. Ribosomes. C. Cytoplasm. D. DNA. Question 1D. What are two types of organelles? A. Lysomes and ribosomes. B. Ribosomes and cytoplasm. C. ATP and DNA. D. None of the above. Question 1E. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a plant cell? A. Plant cells have stiffer cell walls to help the plant's stem stand up. B. Plant cells have an extra layer called a cell wall that surrounds each cell's membrane. C. Lysomes are mostly in plant cells. D. All of the above statements are true. Passage 2. Read the following passage and answer the questions that follow. Don't forget to go back to the passage whenever necessary to find or confirm your answers. The Gilded Age. Mark Twain's first novel, The Gilded Age, is not as famous as many of his other works, but it still tells a humorous and enlightening story of a time in American history full of wealthy, excels, and greed. The novel, published in 1873, is the story of a poor Tennessee family trying to get rich by selling their land. Laura, the beautiful adopted daughter of the family, goes to Washington, D.C. to lobby Congress to buy the land. In the passage that follows, a senator has introduced her to Washington society and customs. There were certain important society customs which one in Laura's position needed to understand. For instance, when a lady of any prominence comes to one of our cities and takes up her residence, all the ladies of her grade favor her in turn with an initial call, giving their cards to the servant at the door by the way of introduction. They come singly sometimes, sometimes in couples, and always in elaborate full dress. They talk 2 minutes and a quarter and then go. If the lady receiving the call desires a further acquaintance, she must return the visit within 2 weeks. To neglect it beyond that time means let the matter drop. But if she does return the visit within 2 weeks, it then becomes the other party's privilege to continue the acquaintance or drop it. She signifies her willingness to continue it by calling again any time within 12 months. After that, if the parties go on calling upon each other once a year, in our large cities, that is sufficient and the acquaintanceship holds good. The thing goes along smoothly now. The annual visits are made and returned with peaceful regularity and bland satisfaction, although it is not necessary that the two ladies shall actually see each other oftener than once every few years. Their cards preserve the intimacy and keep the acquaintanceship intact. For instance, Mrs. A pays her annual visit, sits in the carriage, and sends in her card with the lower right-hand corner turned down, which signifies that she is called in person. Mrs. B sends down the word that she is engaged or wishes to be excused, or if she is a parvenue and low breed, she perhaps sends word that she is not at home. Very good. Mrs. A drives on happy and content. If Mrs. A's daughter marries or a child is born to the family, Mrs. B calls, sends in her card with the upper left-hand corner turned down, and then goes along about her affairs. For that inverted corner means congratulations. If Mrs. B's husband falls downstairs and breaks his neck, Mrs. A calls, leaves her card with the upper right-hand corner turned down, and then takes her departure. This corner means condolences. It is very necessary to get the corners right, else one may unintentionally condole with a friend on a wedding or congratulate her upon a funeral. If either lady is about to leave the city, she goes to the other's house and leaves her with PPC engraved under the name, which signifies pay parting call. But enough of the etiquette. Laura was early instructed in the mysteries of society life by a competent mentor, and thus was preserved from troublesome mistakes. Question 2A. How long do the visiting ladies talk on their first visit? A, 1 minute, B, 2 minutes, C, 2 minutes and a quarter, D, 35.5 minutes. Question 2B. After the first round of calls, how often must a lady call to maintain the acquaintanceship? A, once a year, B, twice a year, B, once every quarter, D, twice every quarter. Question 2C. What is the meaning of a card with the upper right corner turned down? A, called in person, B, engaged, C, not at home, D, condolence. Question 2D. What does PPC mean? A, PayPal collected, B, pay parting contact, C, pay parting call, D, none of the above. Question 2E. How were those who called on people the first time expected to dress? A, business casual, B, leisurely, C, in tuxedos, D, elaborate full dress.